Hello and welcome to the first book haul of the year. My name is Gunilde and apparently I've decided to buy too many books this year. I mean too many. Yeah, if you want to read a book, you want to read a book, and some of us simply don't have an access to a library that has the books that we want to read. So let's just get into it. My very first impulse buy of the year. I wasn't gonna buy this book, but I saw the cover and I'm like, well, that looks interesting. Also the name, Eliza Reid. Eliza Reid is the current First Lady of Iceland, and she wrote this book during COVID. She wrote a book. What did I do during COVID? I'm an essential worker, so I was working. I do feel a little envious though. But yeah, Eliza Reid, I said, she is the current First Lady of Iceland. The interviews that I've seen with Eliza Reid, she has always been, how to put it, well put together. She speaks well, she presents herself well, and just she seems like a really interesting, fun, intelligent woman to be around. So that made the book really interesting to me. Also the name, Sprakkar. Now I have to admit, I at first thought, oh, why did she make up a word? What word? Why would she make up a word, and what does it mean? No, she did not make it up. It is an old Icelandic word for now I have to admit that my ability to translate from old Icelandic over to or just Icelandic over to English isn't the best. Like, it could be better, but sprakki. So sprakkar is the plural, sprakki is the singular, and it's an old Icelandic word that means röskleika kona eða kvenskörungur. It basically means very simply a very strong woman. It's not a, listen, I've been thinking about how to translate this word over to English and like get the meaning. It's not a word that we would use for an influencer or the more, the current girl bosses. No. Kvenskörungur would be more like our, well, like the first female president here in Iceland, Vigdís Finnbogadóttir. She is Kvenskörungur. She is that strong woman. I've been trying to remember someone who isn't Icelandic. And I'm drawing a blank because I'm trying to think right now. So Eliza Reid, she is originally Canadian. She met her husband, our current president, Gunnitihau, at university in Germany, I believe. Rather than Britain, I think they met in Germany, and during COVID, they decided to sit down and write a book about Icelandic women, basically. Strong Icelandic women, and entrepreneurs, CEOs, and that's what I got so far. I haven't read it yet because I literally just bought it the other day, and then it kind of got lost in the home, and I found it last night as I was preparing to film this video. My mother had borrowed it and put it away. So what I gather from this book is that it is about Icelandic women and their influence on Iceland and the world, basically. The quote on the front actually comes from Hillary Rodham Clinton, which I just noticed, and it's like, okay. It does have an English version, I do believe, and the original title is Secrets of the Sprakkar. Right, I hope you can see it. And the translation was done by Magna Jól Matthíasdóttir. So, bit excited about this. It is really different from what I usually read. I do read a lot of non-fiction, but I don't really read a lot about like feminism in any type of form. I read more about dragons and mythology and about the human nature. So, but it's Eliza Reid and I want to read it, so I'm gonna read it. And that's the only book in Icelandic that I do have, which is a little bit sad. I did get my last two of the style guides, the New York Times Manual of Style and Usage, and then the Times Style Guide. Quite different books. This is quite a bit thicker. It does have a bit more about I think it was like a little bit more about grammar, and they do have their standard proofreading marks, which is interesting. So everything you need to know if you're gonna write for the New York Times, which I'm probably not gonna be doing. Still, it's interesting. And then the Times, their style guide, it is mostly about like the grammar, where you put like lowercase or that all that fun stuff. So mostly because I want to find out what a style guide is. So I got these two last ones. I do have the Economist and the Oxford Guide. So I want to compare them to basically figure out what these books are, because they seem to be a combination of grammar and thesaurus and style. That was eloquent. And speaking of non-fiction, most of these books are non-fiction. I did receive my order of the Writer's Guide to Weapons and the Writer's Guide to Archery, because I'm trying to write a fantasy novel, among other things, and I don't know jack about weapons, so I'm gonna need all the help I can get. The last book I was waiting for is about sword fighting. Unfortunately, I didn't get my copy because for some reason it didn't ship, even though they did have some copies, and then they don't have. It's confusing. Also, in the same order was one of the very, very few fiction novels that I've been waiting for. It didn't ship, so I actually had to cancel that order and order from someone else, and that one is already in transit, like the same day. Don't get it. Anyway, speaking of writing, Steering the Craft by Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm gonna blame Kate Kavanagh for this, because I've been watching again her series on I Tried Writing Like, and she did also a video about using these about writing, writing guides by authors. And I already have many books about writing, but I'm interested in seeing what Ursula K. Le Guin had to say, and I like the way that this book is written and how it's presented. It seems easy enough to read, which is always a plus when you're trying to learn something. It goes into, adjectives and adverbs, verbs, person and tense, repetition. Like, I think she knows what she's talking about, so I'm really excited to learn from this book. Let's see, the last one about writing. Avoid them like the plague. A book about cliches, because I like cliches. So, obviously, perhaps judging from my accent, I am not a native English speaker. I am Icelandic. But English language is interesting, and the history of it, and all the countries, and all the different countries, different cultures, different just everything about the English language. The English language that we study in Icelandic schools is the British English. The English language that we learn is American English. So learning two very different English versions of the English language that came out so cool. It's always interesting, and learning where the turn of phrases and metaphors and what people actually say and what they actually are is interesting and kind of vital when you want to try and write in English. Like page 72, Gate. Because after Watergate, everything is Watergate, or Gate. Billygate, Squiddygate, Camillagate, Monica-gate, Climate-gate. Name just a few. The buck stops here. So I'm gonna find this book really interesting and really helpful to read. My knees are falling, my legs are falling asleep. And the very last non-fiction book is actually about knitting. So I have another channel that is a little bit older than this one, and I talk about yarn and knitting over there. This is Lace One Skein Wonder. Lacy luxuries from your single skeins, because I have a lot of yarn and I kind of need help to work with it. So I'm very, very interested in quite a few of the patterns. Like, I really, really love shawls and scarves, and I do need to learn like doing socks and things like that, because socks are helpful and interesting, and I can need to do something else than just shawls. And I decided to try needle for this video. My legs don't like it. Let's move on. Now I did also get 2 plays. First off, Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw, because I've seen movies. I've never seen the play, but I've definitely seen the movie adaptations, and it just looks interesting. Also, it's not that long, because I'm trying to get more into reading the classics. So yes, I actually want to read Pygmalion and actually understand what it's about. It's gonna be interesting. And then last of the plays is actually Agatha Christie. I'm very interested in reading The Mousetrap, because kinda can't get to the place to actually, you know, what's the place. This book a little surprised me a little bit, because I realized that when I was ordering it, I only read The Mousetrap, so I thought it was just that one. I mean, if so, then it's a really, really long play, and I don't think that they could fit 2 shows of The Mousetrap if it would take a whole day for a single show. So no, it's more than just The Mousetrap. This actually has The Mousetrap, and Then There Were None, which is based on the very first novel that I actually read by Agatha Christie, and I love it. If you haven't read And Then There Were None, I do recommend it. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's fantastic. Let's see. Appointment with Death, The Hollow, Witness for the Prosecution, Towards Zero, Verdict, and Go Back for Murder. So I kind of expected like 1 play, and I got 8. It's a hefty boy, and I'm actually really interested in reading that. And the last thing I got is the Bronte Collection. And yet again, I haven't read a single Bronte book. I have heard about Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. Yeah. And everyone has heard about Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. It's constantly everywhere. The other ones, like, I have to admit, I had not heard about Villette by Charlotte Bronte, or The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. Let's see. Or basically anything by Anne. Like The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Hadn't heard of it. Or Agnes Grey. I've never heard of that. Charlotte and Emily, I've heard about them. I had never heard about Anne. Except in passing, but I never read anything about her books. So I am very interested in reading these. It's probably going to be a little bit hefty, but my legs are not happy with this. But yes, that is my January book haul. I will admit this is mostly like non-fiction and surprising amount of plays. I am working to fix this, because I read way too much. I read way more non-fiction than I do fiction, and that is something that 2020 will be my year of fixing, both in reading classics and actually reading actual fiction. And there are some fiction books on the way, because I have no self-control. But yeah, this is what I got this time, and so yeah, I will see you hopefully later. Until then, take care and read a lot. Just keep reading. Like, reading is fun. Okay, take care and we'll see you later. Bless.